We're joined today by Jennifer Kreitner. She is the president of retail and company culture with Unclaimed Baggage. Now, this is something that is pretty awesome and I hadn't heard of until very recently, of course, because we're here in Canada. But this is an amazing place in Alabama that is doing something pretty cool. For those who don't know what Unclaimed Baggage is, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we're a retail store nestled in the foothills of Northeast Alabama. We were started and founded in 1970 by Doyle Owens. He started with a borrowed pickup truck and $300. He took off on a trip to Washington, D.C. to pick up his very first load of unclaimed baggage. He was a ham radio operator by hobby, and he was on the ham one night and heard a ham buddy lamenting the woes that they were dealing with at Trailways bus lines with all of the unclaimed bags. And so being the entrepreneur that he was, he borrowed that pickup truck and the $300. And when he picked up his very first load of 110 suitcases, brought them back here to Scottsboro, Alabama, sold out the very first day he was in business and knew he was onto something special. And so it's been amazing the growth we've seen over 54 years. We welcome about 1 million visitors a year to our brick and mortar retail facility here. Um, and it's just really a really cool concept, I think. I think it's really interesting, and it speaks to the curiosity people have around, what people lose, and it feels like you're shopping through someone else's closet a little bit.
It's really cool. And there is something amazing that comes out of this as well. It's not just a store. There's some amazing things that happen after. I do want to get around to that in just a little bit. But how did
Sure.
you get involved with unclaimed baggage?
Yeah, so my story is kind of, I guess, simple. I've been with the company for 27 years next month, and I started here when I was 17 years old, 5 days out of high school. I started working during the day, and I would go to community college at night, and I just sort of just worked here. I fell in love with the company, loved its values. Love how it perceives people and how it values people, and just had a lot of synergy and alignment in just our core values. And so that's kept me here for 27 years. And I've done a little bit of a lot around here, lots of different jobs starting out at 17. And this company has afforded me many great opportunities to meet some incredible people, because there's 1 million guests a year that come to Unclaimed Baggage. It's really like a melting pot because people come from all over the world to shop here. At any given moment when the doors are open, there'll be a couple of dozen US states represented and as many as 7 countries from around the world in the store at any given time. And so that's just been a really cool experience, a really enriching experience. And then you've got all of the cool things that just come into the store through Unclaimed Baggage, just amazing treasures. We have this unclaimed baggage museum that we've curated in the store that, attempts to tell the story of the weird and wonderful and the precious, priceless things that we've encountered over the years.
Tell us about some of the cool things that have been discovered over the years, or some of the coolest things that you've seen come through that
Yeah.
you'd be like, how can somebody not claim this?
Yeah, so some of my favorite things. One was the 40 karat Colombian raw emerald. It wasn't set into anything, but it was, a rock, and at the time it appraised for $32,000 back in the late 1990s. We had it in our showcase for about 16,000. We typically price jewelry about half of appraised value, so that was an amazing piece. I can also remember in the late 1990s, we got a couple of different really cool, I guess, suitcases or trunks full of items in 2 separate occasions. One was a trunk full of these beautifully painted, kind of hand painted kimonos that were just stunning. Another incident was a trunk full of Versace runway gowns that just kind of were fresh off the
Wow.
runway. Some of the other just kind of cool things, I guess. Aluminum fire suit. We've gotten an aluminum fire suit, and that was really kind of interesting. Beautiful musical instruments from all over the world, I think are super fascinating. There have been at least 2 occasions that we have unpacked human shrunken heads, like legitimate human shrunken heads. And it's like, oh, there was one time that we unpacked a live rattlesnake in the side pocket
Mm,
of a duffel bag. That would have been the day my soul left my body.
yes.
But yeah, so just the weird and the wonderful. There was also in the 1980s, we unpacked a suitcase that was filled with Egyptian artifacts. These predated Christ by hundreds of years. And most of those items we sent to Christie's auction house, but we still have three items that we kept and are on display in our museum. And those are just so fascinating to me. And then there's pop culture things like a Michael Jordan autographed basketball and just Muhammad Ali autographed cowboy hat. Just some cool things, that relate to pop culture.
That has gotta be so interesting. I'm still thinking of the rattlesnake. That's the
Yeah.
one thing that stood out to me. It's gotta be so interesting opening up this luggage.
Yeah.
Do you have any clue what's in these bags when you guys
Not
bring them in,
not
or
at
is it
all. No,
what is that
let me tell, yeah,
experience?
that's a great question. Let me tell you a little bit about how that process works. So, we have contracts with all major airlines, and we receive those suitcases totally sight unseen. We don't know what we're getting. And when we receive those bags, we have a team of openers in our operations division, and they're really experts for kind of mining for value, if you will. They're looking for, are we going to sell this item? Are we going to recycle this item? Or are we going to donate this item? But before I kind of go into that process a little bit, I do want to mention that these contracts that we have with the major airlines, um, the airlines are successful over 99.5% of the time in getting unclaimed bags back to the original owner. They, in fact, do a really good job. They have 90 days to get these bags back, and that fraction of 1% when they're not successful, when there are millions of people traveling every single day, still adds up to a lot of unclaimed bags. And that's where we step in. We often joke we were sustainability before sustainability was cool, all the way back in 1970. We don't want these items to end up in a landfill. And so, right from our opener station here in Scottsboro, Alabama, our openers open a suitcase is totally sight unseen. I often joke that the job is not sexy, right? Like you're dealing with people's dirty laundry and just all manner of things that people travel with. But about a third of it, as I mentioned, we're able to sell. Then, another third we're able to recycle, and then the other third we're able to give to some amazing charities all over the world. An interesting fact. Is that we do clean our merchandise before it goes to the floor. So that really kind of separates us from thrift stores.
Mhm.
Um, so we have the largest laundry service in the state of Alabama. We're processing about 65,000 pieces a month. That's more than the typical laundry service would do in an entire year. And so we're just constantly cleaning clothing, shoes, um, dishware, just whatever people are traveling with before those items come to our sales floor. And yeah, so it's a really interesting job. And then from there, after laundry, it goes to an amazing pricing team that knows their stuff. And we typically price things 30 to 80% off retail value. It truly just depends on brand condition and quality.
One thing you mentioned in there too is that you do donate things as well. So this isn't just retail. You are giving back in so many ways. Tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, Reclaimed for Good is our charitable foundation, and it is truly the heartbeat behind what we do. We love the giving aspect, and the selling aspect just helps enable the giving aspect, is the way we look at it. And we are able to give kind of gifts in kind. All this merchandise that comes through, we could never sell it all, nor would we want to. And so there are things like eyewear. This year alone, we will give 250,000 pairs of eyewear to our local Lions Club. We've been giving with them for over 2 decades. We Every other month they'll come get about 80 boxes from us, and then they take it, they clean them, and then they distribute them with their optometrists who volunteer their time all over the world. And we've heard some incredible stories, like seamstress in Guatemala. There was one precious woman who lost her sight. She became legally blind, and she had the tedious job of sewing, but she was a single mother with 3 children. And when she couldn't see anymore to do her job, she no longer had income into her home. Until Lions Club showed up with these unclaimed glasses, and they were able to pair her with her prescription. She was able to go back to work. And that totally resonates with me because I am also legally blind, and I wouldn't be able to do my job, but my eye doctor is 2 blocks away from where I'm sitting right now. And so often we take for granted, I think I take for granted the things that are available to me, when there are people all over the world that are in desperate need. Another amazing thing that we get through are walkers, wheelchairs, canes, crutches. You would be amazed at the sheer volume of these things that come through. And so we have a couple of different organizations that we give these to. One that comes to mind is Johnny and Friends, Johnny Erickson Tata's charity, and they're called Wheels for the World. And so they'll
Mm.
come 2 times a year, fill up their tractor trailer with these wheelchairs in particular, and they'll take those and get them cleaned and ready to go, and then they're distributed all over the world. We have seen video back where these wheelchairs are literally lifting people out of the dirt and setting
Wow.
them into seats of dignity and opportunity. It is just, oh, to see those videos, it just makes your heart soar that, something like Unclaimed Baggage and Reclaim for Good could have impact in somebody's life like that. We have our own in-house charity that's called Love Luggage. And about 15 years ago, we saw an article, I believe it was in the New York Times, and it talked about kind of the struggle of foster care. And foster children
Mm.
so oftentimes have to put their worldly possessions, their most prized possessions, in a black trash bag to go to their foster home. And that is a significantly tumultuous time in that child's life. And it doesn't matter what mom or dad has done, that's still mom or dad to that child more times than not. It's still trauma, it's traumatic, and they feel discarded. They feel thrown away. They're being placed into a stranger's home, while mom and dad work on their issues. And to amplify that thrown away feeling, they're putting their stuff in trash bags. And we thought, you know what, we're unclaimed baggage. That ought not be. And so a significant portion of our suitcases we give every year to foster care. And we set up these opportunities in store in our community. Clubs, organizations, even on our 50-state road tour that we went on in 2022, we set up these opportunities throughout the country where people can paint these hard-sided suitcases with bright images, bright paint, messages of hope. It might just be the word love or the word hope or the word joy or I'm praying for you, I believe in you, you're beautiful. My husband and I are foster parents, and we became foster parents in 2018. And I have had the amazing opportunity to set up these painting events in our store, for clubs and organizations. I've taken the painted suitcases to foster care organizations so that they can be given. But in May of 2022, I got to see it full circle. See, we welcomed a beautiful girl named JJ into our home. She was 8 years old. Her particular removal from her mom's home was very traumatic. Um, it was very difficult, and there were lots of big emotions involved. But when JJ came to our house, she said, Miss Jennifer, look what they gave me. They gave me a present. Will you open it with me? And so she rolled this love luggage suitcase into our living room, and it had this tag on it, and it really does. We make it look like a present.
Mm.
And it was beautiful. And she just felt so loved, so valued. We opened the suitcase and it was filled with clothes and shoes and books and teddy bears and toiletries. And not only was it a blessing to her because it gave her so much joy, it was also a blessing to us because as the foster parents, we didn't have to go out and scramble the first night trying to, purchase the essentials that she needed for the next few days. And so JJ's mom did the hard work that she needed to do. In fact, she's been the only child since we've been doing foster care since 2018 that has been able to be reunified with her mother. And I am
Wow.
happy to say that they're doing well. And when she went back to mama, she made sure that she had her love luggage suitcase. So
Oh.
it's stories like that and just the giving like that. There are a number of organizations that every week we give Gaylords. A Gaylord is a 4 foot wide by 4 foot deep, 4 foot tall box that we just fill. If it's something that we can't sell, we're just going to fill it with clothes, with general merchandise like handbags or shoes or toys. And then we send those out to organizations. For example, there's a number of thrift stores. One in particular that comes to mind, they're called Servants Mission, and they come pick up a couple of times a week. We fill their trailer full with these huge Gaylord boxes. They take it to their thrift store and then they sell these items. And in turn, the revenue supports a women's recovery home called the Summit. These are women that are gripped by addiction, and it's a really successful program that's seen life-changing results. And so it's our honor and privilege to be able to come alongside those women in that really practical way to help provide the revenue and services for them to thrive in their recovery. I could truly talk all day long about the giving parts of what we do. There's a lot of things we do in our community. Headphones, untold, oh, Lord have mercy at the number of headphones that come through unclaimed baggage. But we'll give those to school systems for spring testings, so moms and dads don't have to find the money to purchase headphones for their children. Local school systems, local hospitals may call us up and have children or patients that don't have coats or shoes. And, in a moment's notice, we'll spring into action to make sure that those are provided. We just love partnering. Here's an interesting thing. Homeless shelters are one that we work with, but also school systems for this particular need is feminine hygiene products.
Mm.
Um, we supply those to those organizations. And for high schools in particular, we put them in discreet pouches so that there's no embarrassment or stigma around those young ladies being able to get their hands on what they need there in their high schools. And also just toiletry bags and kits for high schools. Some kids don't have access to the basic hygiene items that they need. And so we, again, want to remove the stigma from that and just provide the schools in our area, if they have a need, they can just come in and grab it discreetly and take care of themselves and not be embarrassed. So we're constantly trying to find creative ways to look at what we have to give and find ways to kind of push that out into the world, whether it be locally in our state, in our region, our country, or our world. So we are really passionate and excited about what we do. And our purpose at Unclaimed Baggage is to redeem the lost, the unclaimed, and rejected for the glory of God. It is not for the glory of unclaimed baggage. It is truly, we feel like this is a kingdom-minded business, um, with that in the forefront. And we see this as ministry and a way to serve God and to serve others by this amazing opportunity that Mr. Owen stumbled upon in 1970. And we're here today. Yes, we're a retail store. Yes, we have an online store at unclaimedbaggage.com where we ship even to Canada. But ultimately, all of that just enables the good work that we do and we get to do through Reclaimed for Good.
I love that you're doing it in your own backyard as well. It's reaching people that you can see, which is amazing. And I literally was going to say, God is working through something as simple as unclaimed baggage. Who would have thought something as simple as a bag that somebody maybe forgot about or it got lost in the chaos of the airlines is now
Yeah.
reaching far and wide with all of those things that you just said. It's not just a store, it's a ministry. It's
Well, I'll tell
beautiful.
you, we really view these suitcases as orphaned, that they're orphaned bags, that this small fraction of percent could not get back to the original owner. And we believe that there's a story in every bag, and we want to give every bag a second life. And that redemptive story might be that you found your new favorite sweater at a fraction of the cost, and it's going to live on in your closet until you can't wear it anymore. That's second life for that item. Or maybe it needs to go to plastic recycle, metal recycle, paper recycle, and live on that way. Or it needs to be donated to a worthwhile mission or charity. And we really do see that as our purpose to redeem these items for good.
What has been the most memorable moment for you in your 2 decades, almost 3 decades being with unclaimed baggage?
Gosh, that is a really hard question. You know what? Nobody has ever asked me that. Gosh, that is really tough. I can tell you my favorite thing about working in unclaimed baggage is the people.
Mhm.
When you ask me that question, just instantly like a Rolodex, just faces in relationships that have been built between people I get to work with, um, people that I get to serve. There are some people that shop unclaimed baggage, believe it or not, 3 times a day because our inventory is constantly changing. We restock our sales floor with about 7,000 items a day. And those people have become friends over 27 years. You know, I know who they are, I know their children. So it's really enriched my life that way. Interesting. I met my husband here
Oh,
back in 1997 and we got married in 99. So I often joke unclaimed baggage has brought all good things to my life, and I have to start with my husband, you know, so meeting him way back when probably has to be the top thing. You know, and I don't know. That's a tough question, but I could just sum it up by the people. You know, there's amazing stories. When I think about the emerald, for example, one of the coolest stories that jumps out to me is how it sold. We kept it in our showcase for a number of years. We didn't care if we ever sold it because it was just a wow factor piece for media and our guests that shop here. It was just gawk worthy. And there was this unassuming elderly couple from the hills of Tennessee, and they came in one weekend and they liked it, but we didn't think anything about it. A lot of people liked it. Well, the next weekend, they came to the store to purchase this emerald. I mean, modest, meager, unassuming. But what's interesting is they did not believe in the US banking system. So they kept their cold, hard cash in the deep freezer of their home. And so they brought this stack of cash in to purchase this emerald. And it truly smelled like a deep freezer. I don't know if you know what a deep freezer smells
yes.
like, but it's kind of that
Yep.
that deep freezer smell. And that really kind of stands out to me as kind of a funny story throughout the years. And you know, people come from all walks of life here. There was one Saturday a couple of weeks ago, I was out in the parking lot and there were 20 different states just looking at license plates when I walk our parking lot facility. And I just think the interest and intrigue around unclaimed baggage and that all of these people come to little bitty Scottsboro, Alabama, and that we've become the top tourist attraction in the state of Alabama is just incredible. And being a citizen here, it enriches our lives here in our community. It makes our roads better, our schools better, just a better organization and community altogether. And then we provide a lot of great jobs. We employ over 250 team members here at our facility. We're one of the top employers in our county. And so to me, that's also really rewarding that we're able to do good in that respect in our community as well.
And just to be a ministry overall.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
It's so beautiful. For our listeners out there, obviously, majority of them are in Canada. We actually have some listeners in the States as well. So
Great.
if they're out there, they can travel to Alabama. If we're
Yes,
unable to travel to Alabama, you mentioned earlier that there is an online side of things and you do ship to Canada. For those
we
interested in learning
do.
about that, how do they go about finding out more information?
Yeah, so go check us out at unclaimedbaggage.com. We have a really great website. You can purchase online. Everything is not listed online for sale, but they add about 6,000 new items to that site every week. So it's a lot of fun to shop it as well. And you can learn more about the history and just what we're all about on that website. And of course, we're on all of the major social media um, avenues as well. So you can check us out that way also.